Hey guys, I'm here at IFM 31 with Brandometry. How are you today?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm well, so I'm just going to ask you some questions, maybe some heavy-hitting questions to get a lot of information, and it's really good to be able to do this with you and, basically shine a light on the hardworking TOs. So the very first question I'll ask is, how long has IFM been in operation and what has your role been?
Okay, so my name is Brandometry. Like you said, I'm the captain of Iron Fist Monthly. To many, we actually started in 2021. It was right before, like right when the pandemic, when people were actually, comfortable coming outside, was in August of 2021. I had moved away from Atlanta. I was actually in Atlanta with, everybody down there. Shout out to Greg and, all the 404 crew. And ever since August 2021, we've been having a scene here in Greensboro.
So a lot of people, all the players that I've interviewed so far, they talk about the handshake houses
Yes.
and different things like that. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Okay, so there's an inside joke with the handshake house. So pretty much on Facebook, I was just using the handshake emoji all the time. So I would troll and I would post statuses on Facebook and tweets and just use the handshake emoji. So I was actually in a house. I had roommates, but it was a pretty big space. So I kind of used that space to hold just like, sessions for people to come over, get to know each other, just learn about the game on a beginner level. Because I'm not a top player, but, I think I'm pretty decent in Tekken. So I could, teach somebody, what a down for one is, what a jab, how to sidestep left or right when you're, -5 on block or less or -4 on block or less. So so that it went from that to we outgrew the house. We went to a few bars and in the bars, they were fed up with us for whatever reason. And we went back to the house because the house is, where the heart is, right? So
I understand. So 2021, right after COVID, I guess we kind of touched on it already, but I have to ask, what steps, maybe for newer or existing TOs that are struggling right now, what steps did you have to take to get these venues?
okay, so first thing is first, I always tell people, when they ask me, hey, like, how did you get to, the position where you're in? At first, I was just a player. I've been doing this since 2006. This is what I do on my free time. This is a huge part of my life. It's my favorite pastime. I would first start out by just going to your locals or going to, certain events and just meet people, build relationships. And then once you build relationships and people, understand like, okay, this person, he or she, or, they take this seriously, and once, they establish that in their mind, then if you want to decide to come up with you can just go to a recreation center or maybe a YMCA. At first, I wouldn't charge any money. I would just have just normal get-togethers, play some games, and then go from there. And, if it gets to the point where, you're able to establish a tournament, then, make sure you have some equipment or ask people in your community to bring some equipment and just make it a real community effort. Start from there and then, come up with a nice brand and just keep it moving, right?
Right. So if you're comfortable answering, what has the relationship been like with the venues?
Oh, well, that's definitely the matchup that I'm terrible in. We've been in quite a few venues. You've been here a few times, and I think that you have been in 2 or 3 venues.
Yep.
Yeah, in Greensboro. But to answer your question, most of the venues, they have, they really stop, I guess, being available for us out of our control, right? So it's not like, oh, well, the gamers are rowdy. Like, no, they enjoy it. They enjoy the money that it brings. They enjoy the social aspect that it brings to their venues. But, unfortunately, people don't understand what we do, right? So if they look at esports, they're just like, oh, it's just people playing video games and, and they're just like, okay, well, whatever. We're just going to have some free bands from, the coast play instead of having 50 people, right? Fortunately for us, me and Zeus, we've had a professional relationship for like the past 2 years. And, we were able to establish an agreement to where we could start having it here. At first, I had I won't say a complaint, but I had a concern about parking. But in downtown Greensboro, parking is free, fortunately for us. So
That's good information for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So since you've been here, what is the average turnout like?
The average turnout for IFM, I would say between 25 and 40 people, right? Which is crazy in Greensboro. One thing about Greensboro, we are the third biggest city in North Carolina. Charlotte's number one, Raleigh's number two, Greensboro's number three. So I take pride in the fact that we have more than 5 people show up here. Like, this is a big deal to me. The fact that we have world-class players show up because they trust that I'm not going to waste their time. In fact, they trust that I'm going to value their time. And that's what it's all about. But between 25 and 40 people. But in the 3rd-year anniversary, we had up to, I think it was like 92 people, which, Hendo won. Shout out to him. And he's a great player. But yeah, it could go from 25 to 40, but I might wake up and see almost 100. So shout out to everybody that supported.
And it's only Tekken, correct? You haven't had any other games go on.
So for IFM, there were 2 months where we ran Street Fighter 6 as well. I enjoy Street Fighter 6. I want to run Street Fighter 6. However, due to, the size of the venue, I don't know if that's a good idea. So I stick with Tekken. It's my favorite game. Been my favorite game since I was a 5-year-old boy. Maybe if we are able to obtain a larger venue, we can run more games. But Iron Fist Monthly definitely is Tekken exclusive. But also for the weeklies on the 4th, 3rd, and 1st Friday, we got 10 frame Fridays. We have 4 games that we run. So we run Mortal Kombat, Marvel 3, Tekken, and Street Fighter 6.
Awesome. And I'm sure the viewers would appreciate all those games being played. But,
Right.
But it's amazing getting a turnout like that for Tekken for a local.
Right.
Because when you have so many different games, and there are some local scenes out there that, can barely scratch double digits, I'd say thank you so much for all the hard work and effort.
I appreciate it.
So kind of touching on that and, from your experience and being able to foster this community for so long, what advice would you give to new or existing TOs?
I would just say, just be consistent. The reason why, people show up is because, to be honest with you, I run a tournament every weekend of the month. Every 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th Friday or Saturday, I'm running something. On Saturdays, if I'm not doing anything, my personal life, I'm going to support, the other tournaments, whether it's in Atlanta with 404, whether it's in Virginia, with Samori and them up in Virginia Beach, or RDU Tekken. There's a lot of RDU Tekken players that are here as well, which is Raleigh Durham for y'all that don't really know about the acronyms, but yeah. So just be consistent. Don't really worry about the numbers. Just make it your life. Reason why people drive 5, 6, 7 hours is because they know they're going to have a good time. I to be honest with you, I'm really not trying to be arrogant, but like I've never really had a complaint about IFM. Which is crazy considering I've been doing this for 3 years. But, I'll do this for free. I've been doing it for free, but it's not really about the money. It should be something that you enjoy. If you're trying to do this for the money, you're in the wrong place.
No, and I always tell players, it's like, if you're not having fun, you're not learning.
Right.
If you're coming out just for the money, then you're not for the competition, and you're never going to win with that mindset.
Right.
So I want to be able to get top 8, so I'm going to have to cut it here. But I want you to give a shout out to all the viewers, where to find you, upcoming events, all that good stuff. Just lay it all out on the table for me.
Oh, yeah. So shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to all my supporters. Shout out to Greensboro Tekken, RDU Tekken, the Charlotte players. Shout out to the Atlanta players, the Midwest. I'm going to my first combo breaker this year. Hopefully I can meet a lot of you Midwest players that I've been talking to on Twitter. Shout out to my OG Scott Popular in Japan. Thank you for letting me stay with you for those 2 weeks. Changed my life. Shout out to Zeus. I don't know if did I say Greensboro Tekken? Yeah, I think I did. But yeah, for my handles on social media, Twitter, Brandometry, Instagram, Brandometry, TikTok, Brandometry. If you use Snapchat, still using Snapchat in 2025, Brandometry as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you.